Hello, this is Dr. Daniel Jacobasi from Fix Me Physical Therapy. And today I'm going to talk a little bit about functional nutrition and food and nutrition. And so just when we look at the word functional, read the exact definition, is designed or adapted for a particular function. And of course, nutrition is the process of nourishing, especially the process by which a living organism assimilates food and uses it for growth or replacement of tissues. And so that's important because obviously for growth, we're talking about children, and for adults, we're talking about, for replacement of tissue, we're talking about adults. And as we age, our body needs to restore and replace certain parts that break down or wear out. And so people, and medicine in general, the mainstream, of course, neglect the role of food as medicine. And many people have surely heard the saying, let food be thy medicine. And what that means with regards to functional nutrition is that food can be used as a way to program your body for success. And on the flip side, food can also be used to program your body for failure. And unfortunately, we are faced every day with bombardments for advertisements, which talk about, we see fast food advertisements, we see alcohol, liquor, beer commercials. All of these things, they're working to program us so that we can take their products and consume them, and of course, generate money for them. The unfortunate thing is that the majority of the products that we see on TV and are exposed to in our daily lives are programming our bodies for failure. And what I mean by programming, and I have another video about this posted, is we're talking about our genetics. And so many times we're told, well, that's just the way my genes are. My family has a tendency to be overweight, or my family has a tendency towards heart disease, or my family has a tendency towards type 2 diabetes. Yes, sure. Fortunately for us, genes only play a smaller role. They don't play the entire role in determining our health. And what I mean by that is the foods that we consume, and of course some supplements that we can certainly take as well, can help our body's genetic program be expressed differently. And the difference in gene expression can be the difference between somebody being overweight and having type 2 diabetes, or being thin, fit, and vibrant into their 80s and 90s. That is, again, sometimes certainly genetics do play a role. However, we have control over that by selecting what we consume and what we're exposed to, and how often we're exposed to it, so that our body becomes programmed for success. And so the whole thing is, again, programming your body for success. And some of that is programming our minds. And I very often say to my patients that very often the biggest obstacle to somebody's success is the person that they see in the mirror. I'm included in that. I'm guilty, just as guilty as the next person. And I say that because sometimes we're our own worst enemies. And whether that's a program we received children growing up, because our parents was the way our parents did things, so that's the way we do things. And that's, of course, whether we're exercising or not, whether we're meditating, something my parents certainly never did, or not, whether we make good food choices or not. All of these are determinant factors in terms of how our genes are expressed. And that can make the difference between somebody having a heart attack or not having a heart attack. Again, I can speak to personal experience. My father was both overweight and suffered, I think at the last count before he passed, was over a dozen heart attacks documented. There probably were more, to be honest. And my dad did not eat well. He made poor choices. He ate on the run. He didn't take care of himself. And until it got serious, and my mother intervened. She's a very regimented person and helped him make the right choices. And when I say make, she forced him to make the right choices. As far as foods go for his specific situation, those problems kept occurring. And so, if he could be successful, pretty much anyone can be successful. Again, using food and nutrition as a tool to improve your life versus something that we look at and like, oh, I don't want to cook this way, or I don't want to eat this way. There's a big difference between how somebody feels after they've been out drinking all night versus how somebody feels if they went to the gym in the morning and stretched and drank a lot of water, stayed away from the TV, were outside and got some sun. Obviously not too much, all things in moderation, but basically made decisions that were healthy and healing. Go for a swim at the pool, spend time speaking with families as opposed to looking down and basically scrolling through the phone on TikTok or Instagram, Twitter, whatever social media platform they prefer. All of this is a form of functional programming for your body. And on the nutrition side, many people are making mistakes that they don't even know. Many times with our patients that have type 2 diabetes, I'll mention that they need more fat, and they're like, oh my gosh, I don't want to get fat. I mean, too much fat is bad. Not really. You can pretty much eat almost all the fat you can handle. Number one, that fills you up, it makes you less likely to eat other calories. It's actually the preferred source of fuel for your brain. Many people talk about low carb, high fat diets or a ketogenic eating program, paleo eating programs. All of these kind of like a similar mission or goal is to give your body the chance to work in the best possible way by fueling it and allowing it to rebuild itself like it's supposed to. And again, carbohydrates, most people don't pay attention to how much sugar they eat. Sugar has that much nutritional value, 0. There is no nutritional value to sugar. Yet the amount of sugar that the Americans have consumed increases year over year, partially because it's hidden in our foods. That's actually something that we talk about with our patients who go into our programs, whether it's for weight loss or for neuropathy, peripheral neuropathy, or to reverse type 2 diabetes, or our cognitive Alzheimer's reduction programs. All of those are related to what we're putting into our bodies, what we're doing with our thoughts, and of course what we're doing with our bodies. Exercise, of course, is key. And so all of these things come together to work to help your body work as well as possible. And again, when people don't know they're making a mistake, they're just going to keep making those same mistakes over. And over time, that has an additive effect. It gets harder and harder and harder for your body to recover. And it gets harder and harder for your body to maintain a healthy equilibrium. And all of these things, that's aging in a nutshell. I make one bad decision in the past, and then I make 2, and I make 3, and we get a cumulative effect. And so we want to avoid those bad decisions and start making better decisions. And health really isn't, when people think about health, especially as Americans, they tend to think of it as a point. It's like, I'm healthy, or I'm unhealthy. It isn't a place, it's a direction or a destination. And so we want to, through food and nutrition, program our bodies to go in the direction we want. You can think of it as a GPS on our car or on our vehicle, and our body being the vehicle, is that we want to program it as well as possible, as good as we possibly can, to go in that direction as we age. Because if we don't, and we're basically delegate it to others, and I'll pick a little bit on MDs. They're woefully uneducated when it comes to nutrition. Many times they don't even acknowledge the role that nutrition can play in issues, or if they do, they're just like, well, you just got to eat better. Had one patient who was 30, 40 pounds overweight, and they said, well, most people just kind of find their way to weight loss. Nobody's finding their way to weight loss through an accident. It's a deliberate, concerted effort, a focused effort. And so we help people find out what mistakes they're making, and there are several common mistakes that people make: food selection, activity selection, mental health, all of these things, to help maintain our body and our mind in the best possible state so that it can keep improving over time, so that aging is a function of, hey, I just have some more years attached to my birthday, not like, oh my gosh, I'm feeling so old and I've gotten more tired and I hurt all the time and I can't keep up with my children, or I can't keep up with my grandchildren. I can't imagine what it's going to be like when I'm in my 60s or my 70s or in my 80s. Or I've had people say, oh, like I'm only 30 and I feel like I'm 60. That happens all the time, all of which can be reversed naturally using functional nutrition, which is, again, food as a source of nutrition to rebuild and restore your bodily tissues and help your body heal itself and keep itself working in the right direction. Again, we don't want health to be a downward slide. We want our health to be an upward slide. And so really that's the goal of all of our programs, is educating people on making good choices, or better choices even. Sometimes it's just better choices. You don't have to do everything all at once. That's not how it works. Little by little, step by step. Rome was not built in a day. Your body isn't going to restore itself instantaneously. That's just not how it works. So slow and steady wins the race. We give our patients the tools. We provide them with the nutritional, functional nutrition aspects. Sometimes we need supplements to assist in that recovery. But all of that's been well defined. We've had thousands and thousands of patients who've gone through our programs. All have achieved some degree of success. And the degree of success, of course, is dependent on the degree of dedication and how much they put into the programs. So if that's something that you're interested in, please let us know. We'll have the contact information below. Thank you for listening today on my brief rant on functional nutrition. Thanks. Bye-bye.